The starting point for research in the social sciences is the selection of a research question. In this lecture, I'm going to give some basic tips and describe some of the factors that go into the selection of a research topic and picking a question that can be answered with empirical data. I'll begin by describing some basic tips for choosing a research question. One of the most important tips for choosing a question to study is that you should let your interests guide you. You should pick a research topic that you're genuinely interested in. And you might also sort of pay attention to the social world. Look at what topics are being debated in media outlets by your friends and family members, and think critically about the types of questions that need answering. You can also think about the groups and the organizations that you belong to. Many students on college campuses are active in different organizations, whether they be Greek or employment organizations. There are professional societies. There might be sociological questions that are inspired by the work within student organizations and their purpose that could lead to the selection of a research topic. You could also choose to engage with past or current research. You can think about developing a particular social theory that is debated and studied within a sociological field. You can also look through the contents of popular sociology journals like the American Journal of Sociology, Social Problems, Social Forces, American Sociological Review, and you can get a sense of what people are studying, and you can choose to maybe extend, advance upon some of these studies that have been published recently in these major sociological journals. You can also think about 5 factors that go into choosing a research topic. These 5 factors include the structure of sociology as a scientific discipline, the personal interests of the researcher, social problems, social premiums, and practical considerations. I'm going to talk about each of these factors. First, sociology is organized into many different sections. Race and ethnicity. There is the sociology of mental health. There is medical sociology, aging in the life course, alcohol, drugs, and tobacco. There are many different sections within the structure of sociology as a scientific discipline, and basically the way that sociology is organized can cast kind of a framework for topic selection. You can dive into these different subfields of sociology. Many of them have specialty journals which publish research that are conducted within each of these areas, and that kind of might inspire the selection of a particular research topic. Researchers might also be guided by their personal interests. You might choose a topic not only because it's theoretically relevant or that it's discussed popularly in the media, but also maybe because it stimulates your interest in a particular area, or you have a strong personal motivation. For instance, many people have been interested in the allegations of sexual assault that have been levied against popular figures in Hollywood. And this has led to a movement on social media platforms seeking to raise awareness of sexual assault and harassment. One example of this is the Me Too movement that spawned following the allegations that were made against Harvey Weinstein, who was allegedly had sexual assaulted several actresses who worked on his Hollywood movies. So this might be a topic that is personally interesting to you, and you might choose to study some aspect of this topic in your research. Research can also be guided by social problems of the day. The social sciences are often related to an interest in the basic problems of the human condition. One of the current problems of our day is the opioid epidemic. And there have been tens of thousands of people that have overdosed on prescription and synthetic and illicitly manufactured opioids over the past several years. The number of people who have died from drug overdose has increased more than fivefold since 1999. And this has spawned and sponsored a lot of research. People have been interested in understanding this problem, and it has generated a lot of research on the topic. And so something like the opioid epidemic might be a genesis for a lot of research to sort of understand the factors, the causes, the effects of this social problem. The availability of funding to support research, the prestige and popularity of different topics, and also pressures within society are also powerful determinants of topic selection. And these are referred to as social premiums. One example of this is the National Institutes of Health, a federal agency that sponsors medical research, including sociological research on the healthcare system, the social determinants of health. They provide grants and funding opportunities to sponsor a lot of research on health-related topics. And often, many of these funding calls are directed towards researchers in a specific area. For instance, there's been recently a funding call for research into end-of-life and palliative care, or on dementia and Alzheimer's disease. And so the availability of funding opportunities within these areas has sort of encouraged researchers to develop research proposals to study those social phenomena. There's also societal pressures that can spawn research. For instance, the aging of the U.S. population, the increasing percentage of the population that are over the age of 65, the impact of the aging population on the structure of the healthcare system, on caring for older adults. The aging of the population represents sort of a societal pressure that has generated a lot of research on aging and the life course and the effects of an aging population. So social premiums can be a powerful catalyst for research. There are also very practical considerations that need to be taken into account and that can affect a researcher's decision to study a particular topic. Research requires time, money, and people to carry it out. And limited resources in these different areas can affect the choice of a topic. The expertise of the researcher is also something that can influence topic selection. The skills that are needed to carry out particular types of research, for instance, those requiring analysis of massive data sets, maybe collected from YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, often requires sophisticated quantitative methods to do those types of analyses, and requires certain types of analytic training and use of statistical software. There might be the expertise of a researcher can play into and affect sort of the choice of different topics. And the availability of funding to conduct the research, if it's not practical in terms of time, the time required to conduct the study, the amount of money, financial resources that are required to conduct it, that can sort of constrain a researcher into maybe avoiding a certain topic, or maybe sort of holding off on studying that topic until those resources are available to study it. So finally, one way to sort of develop a research question is to start by brainstorming about the topics that you're interested in, and trying to move from the general topic to a narrower slice of that topic. You might be interested in a particular group of people, maybe men or women or younger or older people. You might be interested in a particular aspect of that topic. You might think about whether you're interested in how people interpret or feel about something, or in the way that particular set of events impacts people's outcomes. You want to make sure that your question can be answered with empirical data. That is, data that you can observe, responses that you can collect from people, behaviors that you can measure. And also, you want to think about whether the population that you're interested in studying is a group that that is not impossible to get a hold of. Is it possible to study that group of people? There are certain populations due to vulnerability that are more difficult to study. Prison populations are one of those groups that is more difficult to get a hold of, to do research upon, and there are a lot of barriers and obstacles to studying those populations.